Hey guys, how's it going? This is Amit from Amateur Astronomy Club. I know the lockdown is pretty boring, but don't worry, we've brought something to make your life interesting. Trust me, this is the best time to enjoy stargazing from your balcony or terrace. I mean, this is as low as air pollution is ever going to get in the modern times, unless we have a bigger disaster popping up, which we obviously wouldn't want. And then think about it. What are the things that you can do at the moment? You can eat, sleep, chat, and look out of the window. And if you're looking out of the window, might as well look up at the stars above. So as you know, Amateur Astronomy Club organizes stargazing events every year from November to May, twice every month. And in these events, we often get asked a question. That question is, what is that special tool that you guys use to set cool objects on your telescopes? That tool is called Stellarium, and it is what astronomers call a planetarium software. What it does is that it brings a simulation of the entire sky on the palm of your hand. And today, we are going to learn how to use Stellarium. Okay guys, we are on the web. And if you Google Stellarium, you will immediately get directed to this result. So once you open the website, you will find various versions suited for various operating systems. Download the version which is the most suited for your operating system, and it's barely a 5-minute process to get it installed. So I'm just gonna fast forward to the installed version. Okay guys, so this is how Stellarium looks. When you open it, this is the interface. Along with stars, you will see that it also simulates the ground. So if you click and drag using your left click, you can pan around not just horizontally but also vertically, which is very important. It shows you directions. It shows you the Milky Way, the stars. It also gives you the names of the stars. And obviously, when we are trying to explore the cosmos, we want to go deeper and deeper. So we want to know whether we can go into it, into the Milky Way. So using your scroll on the mouse, you can zoom in and zoom out. Using the zoom feature, you can see that some of the stars are actually binary. So if you click on this star, it will give you all the data, and in the data it will first mention that it's a double star. Then it will also mention the magnitude of that star, which is a measure of its brightness. Be careful with the magnitude. The more positive the magnitude, the fainter is the star. The more negative the magnitude, the brighter is the star. So just note that this star has a magnitude of plus 1.55. Now let's zoom out and see if we can find a brighter star. Now we all know for a fact that the brightest star in the entire sky is Sirius. So let's see what magnitude Sirius has got. This guy has a magnitude of minus 1.45, which means that it is brighter than Acrex and Canopus also, which has a magnitude of minus 0.65. So Canopus is the runner-up. It will also give you a whole lot of other data, such as the coordinates of that star, and sometimes it might give you the parallax, spectral type, depending upon how well the star has been studied. For the time being, magnitude is our most important takeaway from this data. So once we have got to know about the stars, we would like to connect them. And to connect them, we will use this special button over here, which says constellation lines. So we'll click on this and we have all the constellations. And if you click on the button next to it, It will give you the names of the constellations. If you click on the button next to it, it will give you the shape that is being imagined in the constellation. So suddenly, from a mess of sticks lying in the sky, you now have animals and humans and a whole lot of other things. For the sake of ease, I prefer to switch off the constellation art and the constellation labels. Sometimes a constellation is made up by some people and is not recognized internationally. Such constellations are called asterisms. And over here, if we switch off the constellation lines, we can switch on asterism lines. And we see that there are these shapes which are sometimes useful to locate certain stars, such as these two crosses, or maybe the fish hook of Scorpius. So you can turn on names of asterisms and it will show you a whole lot of other shapes such as teapot or the milk dipper in the constellation of Sagittarius. Now there is a whole lot of things going on below the horizon. To see that, we will switch off the ground. And to do that, we can either press this button or simply the shortcut G. If you press G on your keyboard, the ground is gone. And there are many such asterisms, such as the circlet, the great square of Pegasus, the sickle of Leo, the Big Dipper or the plow, and the Little Dipper. Okay guys, so I think there are a couple of things that I should mention at this point. An important thing to remember, if you click a star and if you click elsewhere, Stellarium will just keep detecting stars. So you cannot exit this mode merely by clicking elsewhere. You have to use your right click to end this. Secondly, to get the asterism lines and asterism labels button, you don't have these buttons in this toolbar by default. What you should do for that is go to configuration window and in extras tab, you find which all buttons you want to see in this toolbar. So you should have show asterism lines button and show asterism labels button boxes checked. You can also have a number of other things such as various grids, which we'll see in a further part of this tutorial. And you can see constellation boundaries as well. So Stellarium always has more than you can ever explore. And we'll slowly explore all of these things in the further tutorials. Okay guys, so this was part 1 of our tutorial. We thought it would be a better idea to divide this tutorial into parts rather than clubbing all the information into one massive hefty tutorial. So in this part, we learned how to navigate through Stellarium using pan and zoom options. We also learned something about constellations, how to use constellation lines, their names, and constellation art in Stellarium. We also learned about unofficial constellations called asterisms. Then we moved on to stars, how to get the data about certain stars in Stellarium, and we learned a couple of things about magnitude as well. In the next part, we will be exploring the beautiful aspects of cosmos, that is deep sky objects, and we will be learning how to identify different deep sky objects using their markers. We will be using a very fantastic tool in Stellarium called time travel, which is my favorite tool. And this is it for this part. So if you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below and let us know in the comments if you have any questions or queries. Thanks for watching.